Hi, welcome to my channel, Mostly Knitting. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm Tash, and this is a podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing, and I also put out regular tutorials. So it's Thursday the 16th of July, and I'm recording from Sydney, Australia. Now I've got a really big show today, so I'll start with my finished objects. I just have the one, but it's a pretty big one, and I'm wearing it. This is the Eva Cardigan by Petite knit. And I knit it out of Madeleine Tosh Alpaca Sport in the colourway Sea Glass, which is this really beautiful sort of pea spring green. And yeah, it's a really, really lovely yarn. It's a 50% alpaca, 50% merino wool blend. And it is classified as a sport weight, but I think you can knit it at a DK weight gauge pretty easily, which is what I did here. I will just mention, even though this yarn is discontinued, you could actually potentially pick it up on D-Stash on Ravelry. I had a quick look on Ravelry and just confirmed that it is discontinued. But if you go to the yarn and then you go to yarn and then stashes, so you go to the particular yarn, go to stashes, and the first ones that are listed are all the ones that people have classified as will trade or sell. And if you look at the flag, you can see where the person is from, and you can then even search within, like search inside yarns. And so for me, I'd put Australia, usually because the shipping just, if you're trying to buy something on D-Stash, shipping just ends up costing a bit too much. So I'd put in Australia, and then I'd have a look and see if there's anyone in Australia who has it listed. Now that doesn't mean that person is active on Ravelry, but you could certainly send them a message and see. So anyway, even though this yarn isn't available, you might be able to pick it up on D-Stash. So yeah, it's a really lovely yarn. So talk a little bit about this cardigan. I knit the smallest size, which is the 41.75 inch bust, but my gauge was a little bit tighter. So the gauge is 20 stitches over 4 inches, and I got 22. So not too bad. It ended up about 10% smaller, and that's 39 inch from side to side once it's buttoned, and you know, with the button band crossed over. And for me, that's 7 inches of positive ease. So that's plenty fine for this. That still feels quite nice and oversized. This weighs 470 grams. Actually, I'll just stand up and show you. And I have about 75 grams left of 5 balls. So yeah, I'm so happy with it. I have to say, I put the buttons on a little bit too far over, so I'm going to have to go back and move them out a little bit, because when I cross this over, I thought I had it in the right spot, but I should have probably checked. I was doing it late last night. It's not a big deal. Sewing on 4 buttons doesn't take that long. I just split the plies of the yarn. There's 3 plies in this yarn, and I just took out one of the plies, and that worked fine for so you sort of unravel the ply, and I used 2 plies to sew on the buttons. I probably could have got away with 3 plies actually. So I knit it to pattern except for, well, there's always an except for with me, but not a big exception. The sleeve is meant to come down to, for my size, 64 stitches, and I decreased 2 more times and made it 60 stitches. So other than that, I pretty much followed the decreases of the pattern, and a 2x2 rib. I did the bind off that I was told to do. What else? So it's 12.5 inches from underarm to hem, and the sleeves are 18.5 inches. I actually really like that they come as far down as they do, because that's where they are right now, but I reckon they'll sort of shrink up a little bit. But I definitely, because it is so oversized, I want it really nice, and it just feels so lovely. But you can see, probably if I come closer, you can see how it's just coming a little bit too far over. But I really love it. I'll show you from the back, and then more on the shoulder detail. There's the shoulder. Really, really nice. So happy with this pattern. Oh, actually, I am going to show you quickly the buttons. I actually bought 5. So I just bought them the other day from a shop in Newtown. So if you happen to be in Sydney, it's called All Buttons Great and Small. And I bought 1 extra, so I'll show you up nice and close. How pretty is that? Isn't it? These were the first buttons that I spied when I walked into the shop. I was a bit worried they'd be a bit small, and when I put 1 on, it looked a bit small, but actually, when I've got all 4 on, I think it works really well. And the match, I could not get a better color match. It's so good. And in fact, it even has variation in it, which the sweater does too. So I was just going to go for some sort of neutral, pale, woodish looking or tortoiseshell buttons, but actually finding a nice match was meant to be. So Anything else I wanted to say? No. Oh yeah, I did one other measurement. From the top of the neck to the hem is 21 inches. So sorry if I do talk in inches because that's what I think, even though in Australia we use metric. Everything body related, I use inches just because that's what I'm familiar with. And yeah, it's a pretty easy conversion. Our phones even have a little convert thing on it for us. Otherwise, take the inches and times by 2.54. Yes, so, oh gosh, how happy am I? It does, probably the only thing that I think is like, and maybe this will help if I move that out a little bit, it's just sort of folding over a little bit. But yeah, anyway, I'm so delighted. I feel like, yeah, I just don't have many oversized cardigans in my wardrobe. I made the champagne cardigan recently, and I was so happy with that. And I think I only made one cardigan last year, and it was that one. So I was like, yes, I definitely need more cardigans in my wardrobe. So this is the first for the year, hopefully not the last. Moving on to my works in progress. I haven't cast on anything new, but I have made a lot of progress on my current WIPs, so I have heaps to share. I'm very excited. The first one I want to show you is the sweater that I'm making out of this white gum wool 10 ply. So it's a lovely, beautiful merino wool, and that's in the colorway Natural. And I'm making so it's a pattern that I'm having to write up myself, even though I'm not a pattern writer. And this experience has convinced me that I probably never want to be one, because it stresses me out a bit. But I am really enjoying the process, but I couldn't imagine doing this like as a job or regularly. I really like knitting other people's patterns. I like being told what to do. And then I just make little tweaks as opposed to trying to figure out the whole thing. But anyway, moving on to the this sweater is based on a sweater called Ophelia by The Row, which is a commercial sweater, very expensive. I think it's $15.50, like as in $1,550 US, not $15.50, which is, I don't know, almost 3,000 Australian. So of course I'm not going to buy that, but I want to see if I can make one. So where I was last episode, which is about 10 days ago, I had done the back and I had done the front up to the armholes. So this is where I was starting to be a little bit like, oh, what am I doing? How am I going to do this? So you can see here, this is holding the center front, this little stitch marker. I've knit up the front both sides, and I've actually joined one side and the other side is ready to mattress stitch. So I'm knitting it bottom up because I really wanted some of the details from the original sweater, and I've got it not on my body because I wanted to be able to show it up close. So where it is at the moment, this weighs 425 grams. When I got to about here, I sort of stopped for a little bit and started doing a lot of research. And I started looking at other patterns to see how to mimic the shoulder line. So I haven't knit a lot of this. Is very much drop shoulder. I'm knitting as it is right now. This is coming across as a 44-inch chest circumference, so that's 12 inches of positive ease, and this goes along. This is definitely a drop shoulder. It goes out a long way. I've knit very few drop shoulder sweaters, and the ones that I have made have been top down, and they've been that kind of European shoulder. So I'm just going to show you the ones that I was sort of using as a bit of a gauge, both for like trying to figure out what to do. Like I can pretty much reverse engineer a lot of a top down to a bottom up or vice versa in other sort of sweaters, like a raglan or a yoke or whatever. But this European shoulder was a little bit tricky for me, and particularly because I haven't knit many drop shoulders. So this is the Mindy sweater that I knit out of Sandnes Garn Sandnes Garn Sunday held double, and you can see that I put all these stitch markers in here because I was trying to figure out like how do I, in terms of going up, you can see from the back of this sweater that the front comes over to the back. And so I was looking at this sweater pattern to see, because this panel was knit first and then you pick up stitches and knit down, is there any other kind of shaping, or do you just knit down like a rectangle and it kind of just folds over? So you can sort of see even with the sleeve here that you've got this from the front. The front is obviously longer here than the back. Does that make sense? So as I'm trying to go up, I'm like thinking, oh, how far do I go up the top? But of course I've also got a split for the front, and where's that going to sit? And honestly, the amount of research that I did. So I was looking at this one. I was also looking at the Lyon sweater, because even though this has the same shoulder construction, this had more of a neckline that I wanted to match for the Ophelia, but clearly quite different, because where this sits on my shoulders, it actually sits on the top of the shoulders as opposed to down here, so that was going to be different. The other sweater that I was looking at is the Oslo sweater by Petite Knit. Even though I haven't made that, I have the pattern, and that is a much more drop shoulder, top down. So yeah, just honestly, the amount of research that I did in this, I know pattern writing is a skill, but it's not rocket science. But for the amount of energy that I was putting into this little bit here, I mean, you would think I was trying to send a satellite into space with how much notes and like I've got pages and pages of measurements and counting stitches and trying to figure things out. Anyway, I figured it out. I think I'm pretty happy with the results, but it probably would have been quicker for me to just knit, and then if that didn't look right, go back, rather than spend sort of 3 hours trying to figure that when I did knit, would it be right? Anyway, I've been talking for like almost as long as I've been researching, so I'll get onto it, and I'll show you. Let me show you. I am happy. That's the end result. I'm very, very happy with how this is looking. So I want to show you the back. One of the reasons I wanted to knit this bottom up was I really liked this decreasing along the shoulder line. So instead of binding off, you actually do a lot of decreases where this is actually the side of the garment, and you can see I've already stitched it up here. Maybe I'll show you on this one here where I haven't stitched it up. So this is where you're actually you're just doing these fully fashioned decreases on the edge, 2 stitches in. So 1 stitch for seaming and 1 stitch for this nice thing to travel up the side. And yeah, then there's my bind off there for the top. So for the front, I had to do like one side and then do this kind of full fashion neck shaping here. This hasn't been blocked here, by the way. So like you can see some of these stitches, I'll probably want to just sort of manipulate a little bit on the back to sort of spread that out a little bit, and then I'll block. So this is the front. I'll try and show you nicely. This is the front bind off, and then this is the side of the back. So you can see I've done a mattress stitch here, which is bind off here to side seam here, and then because it's 1 stitch, 2 stitches in, 1 stitch is hidden inside the seam, 1 stitch runs up the side, which is kind of like what the sweater does, and then you've got these lovely fully fashioned decreases. So yeah, I'm so happy. I couldn't be happier. The next bit will be, so I thought what I'd do is I thought I'd show you just so you could sort of see how this is the back unseamed, so the side, and then this is the front bound off, just a normal knit bind off, and then I'll seam 1 sort of stitch at a time, and I've actually managed to work it out so that every stitch matches with every row. So I have 35 stitches here and 35 rows. Now normally that would be an issue because like your stitches are taller than wider than they are tall, but it seems to work in this kind of like all of the ones that are knit down, you pick up 1 for every row. So anyway, it works, which is good. So this is the bind off, and then I have to pick up like 1 bar, like where you go 1 full stitch and pick up a bar to sew them together. This is something that I actually teach in a class at Skein Sisters pretty regularly, and I've been meaning to do a video on it to sort of support that class, so that if I teach it in class, people can go back and watch the video. So if anybody here thinks that they would like to see a video of me mattress stitching this side, like obviously this is lovely light yarn and very smooth and very easy to do, so I think it would be a good one for a video. I'll try it on in a sec just so you can see it, but yeah, I can only kind of try it on because I've got to hold it up. But yeah, is there anything else I want to say? So my gauge is 19 stitches and 29 rows. It's probably got, in fact, I'm pretty sure it has, it's not as dense as the commercial sweater. I think if I knit this at a much tighter gauge, it would probably match more closely. But then I think this is already going to be pretty heavy. So yeah, all I've got to do now is sew that up,
pick up the stitches for that. The neckline looks huge, but that always happens, I find, with sweaters until you've actually picked it up. That will, I think with that one, it will take a bit of planning, but I'll probably be more willing to just pick up and have a go with this and then undo it if I, need to tweak it. So that's next. And of course the sleeves, but being very happy with this bind off here, I now know that I'm very comfortable just knitting the sleeves as kind of the way I wanted to, bottom up with increases up the side for the very exaggerated sleeve increases, and then I'll knit up, and then it will be again on the side. It will be a bind off for the top of the sleeve to a side seam to sew it in there. So, and that's a lot easier than trying to seam in a set-in sleeve with a drop shoulder. That's straight, and it will be another straight panel. So that should be a pretty easy knit. So I'll just quickly try it on, and then hopefully there'll be more progress next time. But anyway, so happy. That's my one that's had a fair bit of attention, even if it's not a heap of knitting, although I suppose it's from here up. It definitely took a lot of my brain power. Right, so I've got it sort of half on. Obviously it's not joined, but it is ready to join. So I'll be joining that there. And so this is 12 inches of positive ease. Oh my gosh, this feels so lovely and soft. And I'll just show you how that sits. Now this hasn't been blocked, so you can see that it's sort of, could do with a good block. Actually, you can probably see, I don't know if you can tell here, this is where it blocked up to here, then not blocked. So it definitely looks nicer blocked, but it's still pretty good even unblocked. So anyway, hopefully by next video I'll definitely have that sewn up and have the neckline done, and I'll be working on the sleeves. So I'd like to get this done so I've got to get somewhere in the winter here in Sydney. I have 6 more active works in progress. 5 of them are garments and 1 pair of socks. So the one I have on now is the CPO5 V-neck by Christina Ghirlanda, who is Minimi knit design, and I'm knitting this out of Cardiff Cashmere Prime, which is a cashmere silk blend, and it's got a really beautiful, lovely halo, and I'm holding that double. It's got really good yardage, and it's got quite a lot of fluff, so I think this is actually a really excellent silk mohair substitute if you have trouble with mohair, because this is deliciously soft, and I don't think anyone could find this itchy. It has no prickle factor. So this yarn was gifted to me as part of by Cardiff Cashmere as part of a collaboration with Yarnacopia, because Cardiff was their yarn of the month in May. So this sweater actually is pretty close to done. I've got 1 sleeve to go. So I finished the body. I think I had this sleeve done last. I finished the body and I've blocked it up to now, and I'm really happy with how it's sitting in the length. The sleeve is meant to be quite blousy. So my this pattern has a 16 stitch gauge, and I'm getting a much tighter gauge. I'm getting 19 stitches. So I cast on, for the smallest size, because I was a little bit worried about the neckline being sort of a little bit too big. So I cast on for the smaller size, but then I did a couple more raglan increases because I didn't want it up here because of my gauge, right? My row gauge and my stitch gauge was a bit tighter. And so just did a couple more increases. This is ending up, I think the smallest size is 35. Oh, I've just noticed. Have I? Oh la la, look at that. That's come out. Okay, so I'm going to have to be very careful when I take this off and get this back on some needles, because you can see I've got some live stitches happening here. So, but it's reasonably grippy, so it's not going anywhere. So you can see I'm not having a panic attack as I speak. I'll sort that out in a minute. Yes, so this sleeve, let me give you some details. So I knit, the smallest size is 35 inches. Because my gauge is tighter, but I did do a couple of extra raglan increases, this has turned out both blocked and unblocked 33 inches. So this is 1 inch of positive ease for me. I knit this to, again, 12.5 inches from the underarm to hem, but that's, that's not right up underneath my armpit. I think that's sitting at a pretty nice spot. And the sleeve is 18 inches from the underarm to the end of the cuff. 1 sleeve to go. I'll have to rescue those stitches. This I knit on a 5mm needle, and it's definitely because it's a fairly large needle for a very sort of lightweight yarn. I think there's 300 meters in one ball. it's been blocked, but this, the stitches are not as, they're not perfectly symmetrical and even like they are on my Ophelia sweater with a white gum wool, right? That I'm sort of, this is always going to be a bit like that, but you want this quite light and airy and breezy, but it's actually quite warm as well. It's cold here in Sydney. It is 11 degrees at the moment, and I don't have the heat on right now, but one arm is a bit cold, the other arm is, beautiful and nice and warm. And in fact, the open neck is not bothering me at all. Actually, I don't feel cold here on my chest. So it obviously just, keeps your core warm. I think the V-neck is quite nice. You're actually meant to do the ribbing on the same size needle. I did, but she says you can go down if you like your ribbing a bit tighter, and I did. So I did that this is on a 5mm, and I did the ribbing on a 4mm, so 2 needle sizes down. And I'm really glad I did, because it would probably be falling off my shoulders, or at least a bit too deep and open if I didn't. Yes, so the other really nice thing about this is I've been able to knit this because you knit straight down. For this, I could just use a small circumference circular needle and just knit around and around, so it's made it very easy. So yeah, and now I counted how many rows I did before I started the ribbing, and I'll just obviously do exactly the same for the other one, because of course you do. 2 sleeves are going to be the same. All right, I'm going to pause now and rescue these live stitches. Well, that tried on tubing slipped right out, so it's completely gone, and everything is live. So I just grabbed a 1.75, maybe 2mm, but I think that's actually a 1.75mm needle. And this is all I'm going to do to sort that out. I'll just go straight. Sorry if you're looking at my nose, I'll put my head down. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be. But all I need to do is thread this through each one of these. See, they're not going anywhere. I've even blocked it so that, they're not running away from me. And so obviously I was knitting this on a 5mm needle, so that's a much bigger needle. So putting a 1.75 through is, no problem at all. And I'll just go the other side. Yes, fixing my mistakes. But you can see why I didn't get stressed, right? It's no big deal. Probably can't see that. You just don't want to yank on it, right? You don't want to pull it. They're almost... Okay, you can speed me up or maybe I'll speed myself up. I have the power to do that. Let me see. And if I don't catch both plies, it's not a big deal. I'll just make sure I do that. Got the last couple. Where am I? Here. There we go. Do. I think that's it. I've got them all. Okay, no problem. Now, that would easily pull out as well. So I'll get that on the needles when I finish recording. Right, moving on to the next work in progress. Actually, I'll talk about this one just super quickly, because I don't think I made any I think I was already at this point last time. This is Jules Genser by Sandnes Garn, knitting it out of, where is it? Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair in the colourway Elderflower. Again, one sleeve, this is the theme. And isn't that was the same sleeve? I don't know if I always do. I don't think I actually play favourites with my sleeve as to which one goes first, but it seems it was the right sleeve both times. And yes, another sleeve to go and I'll be done. But I know exactly how many, I've counted the rows. I think it's 123 rows of stockinette straight down, and then maybe 22 rows of ribbing. So yes, both of these should be done. It'd be great if I could get them. No, I probably won't. Anyway, I'll talk more about my upcoming plans. But yes, these should hopefully be done pretty soon, because just 2 sleeves to go. I forgot to mention how lightweight these are. So this one is weighing, with one sleeve, 86 grams at the moment, and that one's being held double. Obviously, it's got a big V-neck, but even with one more sleeve, that's going to be a very lightweight sweater. This one is at 83 grams at the moment, and I'm holding this single, and I'm knitting this on a 3mm needle for the body and a 2.5 for the ribbing, and this is 38 inches, so this one definitely has more positive ease. The CPO5 is 33 inches, this is 38, so it's a little bit roomier. So yep, so let me think. I've got one more sweater and 2 little tops to share now. one more sweater to share. This is sweater number 67 by Astrid Troland, and I am knitting this as a part of a kit that was gifted to me by Unravelled, and the yarn is Uno, which is this 60% alpaca. I'll show you up nice and close. 60% alpaca, 30% merino, I think 10% polyamide. So that's the main body of the yarn, and then this pink here is Indicita alpaca. I think it's 14 ply brushed alpaca. So it's just got this little edging. I did Judy's Magic cast on for a tubular cast on. Thank you everybody who shared which of the two versions. I had like a thin pink and a thicker pink. Almost everybody liked the thicker pink, and I think I do too. So I've cast this on. This pattern, I'm getting 8, details. The pattern from Unravelled has a 17 stitch gauge. The pattern on Bichet Bush has a 15 stitch gauge, but it's the same pattern, just different sizes if you knit it at a different gauge, which is one of the easy ways to modify. If your gauge is different, you just knit a different size for whichever, finished garment measurement you want it to be. So sorry about the clanking. I'm knitting it on 6mm needles. So these are pretty noisy needles, both to knit with and if they're hitting each other. So what have I done? I did a different cast on. So in the pattern you're meant to sort of cast on with a grey, knit down and then pick up and knit with a pink. I did start with a pink, and I really like that actually. I like where it sits on me. This stitch, this yarn has almost very not great stitch definition, which is fine if that's not what you're going for. And I think for this one, I'm totally happy with that. It's meant to be just a very cozy sweater, so it's not like the stitches themselves are the focus. It's meant to be garter stitch sort of about here for part of the body, which is what's written in the pattern. I'm just stitching that. It's raglan increases. So I'm basically, at this point, I'm not even really following the pattern. I just want a really nice, cozy sweater. I'm going to do raglan increases. So my gauge is slightly different. I'm getting 18 stitches instead of 17. So that's fine. I'll just knit until it feels, I want it oversized, so I'll just keep trying it on. You can see I've got quite a bit to go. I've just put it onto 2 longish needles. So I'll just keep going until it feels right. Probably block it a bit on the needles just to see if it grows a little bit. And and then I'll just I'll definitely go straight down. For the sleeves, I might do a bit of a taper. I'll see. This is like with the Ophelia, super stressful for me to try to make a pattern up, to do bottom up, different kind of construction. That feels stressful for me. Whereas this, there's zero stress in this. The only thing that I have to be aware of for me is just I need to try it on pretty regularly. So that's fine. It just means I can't sort of. At the moment, I know I've got to keep going for a fair bit, but at a certain point, I'll have to be kind of like stopping, try it on, stop it, try it on, block it when it's on the needles. I do have videos on some of these techniques, like blocking it on the needles or Judy's Magic cast on for a 2x2. So I have a tutorials playlist. So sometimes it can be hard to find people's videos. So if you go to my site, just mostly knitting, you can go to, I've got my normal episodes playlist and then a tutorials playlist. And then you can also search mostly knitting, whatever the technique is, and see if I've done something on it. I'm adding to my videos as I either do something like Mattress Stitch Side, side to bind off, or as people request and when I have time. Yes, anyway, I think that's probably enough on this sweater. The yarn's lovely and soft. Unfortunately, this kit is not available at the moment. With Unravelled, the way it seems to work is when something is sold out, it doesn't just show as out of stock, it's just not on the website anymore. And then eventually, when it comes back in stock, they put it back on the website. So it can be hard to know what they have available, because at any point in time, even as I'm telling you about this sweater number 67, you can't even go to their website and find it, to even see what's in the kit, what yarn, the details. So it's not my business, right? They've sent me the yarn, but I think that would be a good thing if they were able to even just have it and then say out of stock, and then maybe an estimated time when it's planned to be back in stock. So on that, I've had a few people ask me about the essential blanket, because that is the first kit that Unravelled sent me. And for a while that was just not on the website, but it's now available for pre-order. So if you go to the Unravelled store, you'll see the Essential Blankets kit is back for pre-order with, I think, shipping August 1. And that's a really lovely blanket. I made that for my daughter Mia in the colorway Calm. And yeah, it's this yarn, it's out of this Uno yarn. It's a great, easy project, very mindless, really good to sort of get back into knitting, or as a, you've got your complicated project and you've got your simple project. So yeah, so if you like that kit or anything else on the Unravelled site, I am an affiliate with them. So if you use the link in the description below, you'll get 10%. You got to use the code, I think, mostly knitting 10. You'll get 10% off, and I would also receive a small percentage of the sale proceeds. So that's one way that you can support the channel and get yourself a nice blanket if it's the kind of thing that appeals to you. So, but like once those pre-orders close, like I'm not telling you to rush or anything, but if you want to get it, it's the kind of thing that it will go and then it will probably come back, but who knows when it will come back. So at the moment it's up for pre-order until, or at least shipping August 1st. I don't know when it will come off the site. And there's about 5 different colors at the moment. So, and it's like a 3-color blanket. Anyway, that's where I'm at with this one. Hopefully this one will come back onto the site again, because I think you can buy the yarn individually as well. So if you like it, you could buy the yarn individually with the Uno and then one skein. You don't really need the whole skein, but you could use the rest of it. Or you could use something in stash. Anyway, this is like just a brushed alpaca. You use very little of it, so you probably just need enough of that for a sweater. And you can actually buy the pattern itself. It's the same pattern, so you could buy the pattern itself on Ravelry if it's not in stock. So, but you could get the yarn itself individually from Unraveled because they do sell the yarn separate from the kits. All right, yes, that's enough on this sweater. I have 2 little tops on the needles, and they definitely aren't ones that I could be trying on. So I'll show you the first one. This is the Ripple Bralette by Jessie Maed Designs, but I'm turning it into a camisole. I purchased the bralette before realizing that she already had a camisole pattern out as well. But that's okay. I'm just modifying the bralette because I know that Stephanie from Edible Thoughts Makes did. And it's kind of nice actually, because then I have the bralette pattern, which is slightly different with a little, so if I want to make that as well, I could. Anyway, what am I making it out of? This is Skein Sisters. I'll show you up nice and close. Skein Sisters Fabulous Sock in the colorway Just Beach. Very happy color. This is a 4-ply sock yarn, fingering weight, 400 meters, so plenty of yardage. And I really wanted to start, because I wasn't sort of sure how much yarn I would need. I wanted because I plan to make this again, I think. I wanted for my first one to have sort of maximum yardage so that I wouldn't run out for this one. And then I can use this as my basis for other sock yarns that have maybe smaller yardage. Would they be enough? So I'm knitting this, the pattern is meant to be knit on a 3mm needle. I'm using 2.5 because I just wanted it a little bit more dense. Now this hasn't been blocked. Obviously this looks tiny. It looks like I'm knitting a very long hat, but obviously there's heaps and heaps of stretch. So I'm knitting the medium size, which I don't often do, but I had a feeling that I just didn't want this to be too stretched out. And because it is so stretchy, I could knit a larger size and it just won't be pulled out quite as much on me. So I'm almost, where am I? I'm up to about 12 inches at the moment here, but when I try it on, if I measure from the hem to where I'm up to, it's about 10.5 inches. So it definitely shrinks when you put it on your body. And I just sort of, I don't think I even used try it on tubing. I just had it on 2 needles and popped it on. I'm almost at the point where I think you have to do like about 3/4 of an inch of a little bit of sort of different kind of ribbing on the back, maybe a twisted rib or something, and then splitting. So I'm almost at that point now. I've sort of been, trying it on just to make sure that it's, because I have enough yarn, and I'm probably going to tuck it in to something, not have it out. So it doesn't really matter if it's a little bit longer, but I obviously don't want it way down. So I just want to make sure it will definitely tuck into my jeans, and I'll wear it sort of as like an underlayer with like maybe a button-up shirt over the top, whether sort of maybe I can have it then unbuttoned to sort of here because I've got another layer underneath. But I don't see myself wearing this as a standalone garment because it would be tricky to have any kind of bra or anything, I think, with this one. So, but I think it would be a really nice little pop of a bright color underneath the button-up shirt. So that's my first one. I have been timing myself on this. So one row takes about 5 minutes. So 120 rows. This is about 10 hours of sort of solid knitting. Yeah, so I reckon the whole thing could probably be, I'm guessing maybe a max 15-hour project, because I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through the yarn. So yeah, anyway, very happy with that. I kind of feel like I want to start another one, because when this one gets to the point where it's going to be like separating, then I'll have to pay attention, and I'd like to have another one on the needles kind of similar to like a hat. But I feel like I should just finish this one and make sure I'm happy with it, and I want to make another one before I, like make sure the first one's done before I start on the second one. But I probably won't. I'll probably start it. Once this one splits off, I'll need something that's very simple on the needles. So, yeah, I'll probably start another one anyway, even while this one's not finished. So, but not too soon, because I've got lots of, I have a lot of WIPs on the needles. So anyway, that's that one. The last one, no, not last one, it's the last top, and then I have a pair of socks. This one I've shown before. It has made a bit of progress. This is, look how bright that is. Oh my goodness. This is the Chrysler top by Pernille Larsen. I'm knitting it out of Knitting for Olive, pure silk in the colorway Blood Orange. And let me see, I'm knitting this on a smaller size needle. Too smaller, actually, I think. This is on a 2.5 as well. I think so. I think they're both on a 2.5. Yes, I'm pretty sure. I better check that. But hang on, let me check. Oh, I have my own notes, yes. 2.5, yes, another 2.5. And my socks are on 2.5 as well. That's where all my 2.5 needles are. Yeah, it's definitely grown, but similarly, when this goes on your body, it stretches out. So I'm knitting size 1, very, very stretchy. This is the kind of thing that I'm kind of like, it's just growing as I knit on this when I'm going for a walk. Whether that's on the treadmill or outside, it's very light. So that's, for me, that's a priority if I'm going to go for a walk and take my knitting. I just don't want too much weight on the needles. And so this one here, this one here is just starting to get a bit heavy, because as I go down the ball's sort of in the bag, the weight of the knitting itself is starting to get a bit heavy. But anyway, I don't know how far that is. I think that might be about 4.5 inches, maybe 4 inches on the body. So that's still got a ways to go. I've got 2 balls of that. I'm pretty sure that should be enough. So yeah, that's it for my garment WIPs. My last work in progress is a pair of socks for my mum. And I tried them on her a few times, actually. I think I probably tried them on 3 times. I just want to get it right. And then also that means any future socks I make for her, if I've made really good notes, I know when to start increasing. So this yarn is La Bien-Aimée Merino Sport in the colorway La Vie en Rose. And I'm knitting that out on another 2.5 millimeter needle. And this is the Sportweight socks with a gusset heel by Wendy Johnson. Unfortunately, the pattern is no longer available, but it's a fairly standard toe-up sock. And it was a free pattern on Ravelry. It's not available anymore, but I had already downloaded it. So I cast on 24 stitches with Judy's Magic Cast On, increased out to 56 stitches, and then you start doing these gusset increases, and then you do a fleagle heel. And I've tried it on with for my mum, and I also, at the time that I started increasing the gusset, I put it on this little sock ruler, so I knew. So for next time I make another pair of socks, I know. I know at what point I need to start increasing for the. Sorry, there's an artillery range not that far from us, so I think yes. And normally my dog would be freaking out right now, but he's pretty deaf, so he probably didn't hear it. I imagine you heard that. Anyway, so I have an idea of how far to go, because my mum has much smaller feet than me. It's just a bit tricky. It's trickier for me for estimating, but I want to make her a bunch more socks. So I needed to get this right. So now I've got some portable knitting. The only thing for me is that socks are hard on my hands. So it's just, you want to knit them at a really tight gauge so that they don't get holes. But then, of course, at a tight gauge knitting is a bit more tiring. So I have to sort of mix this up with other projects. So I do need another small, portable project. Because also, for example, the Chrysler top, that's pure silk. That's also, doesn't have much give. That's also a bit harder on my hands. So I could do with another small wool project on the needles. See, I'm justifying a new cast on. Yes, of course I am. All right, that's it for my works in progress. Sorry if you can hear all of that booming in the background, but I have no control over that. So, yep, that's it for my works in progress. moving on to acquisitions and plans. When I was at the button shop getting the buttons for my, oh, look at that, see, it keeps pulling over. When I was getting the buttons for this Eva cardigan, I knew I had more yarn in stash for another Eva cardigan, which is the actual yarn that's recommended for the Eva cardigan, which is this Sandnes Garn Peer Gynt, and that is the colour that Petite Knit has in her sample that she's wearing. That's Night Sky, what is it, 5591. Oh, goodness, I feel like the house is gonna, and that did actually wake up the dog. I was at the button shop, and so I thought, so that's really distracted me. Anyway, back to knitting. I thought I'd take this with me because, like, I don't have many cardigan plans, or at least where I already have the yarn, but I do have the yarn for this, and I know it's going to be a cardigan. So I found buttons for that. So that's the button that I chose for that. Isn't that pretty? I think that's going to be fantastic. So that's not an exact, but it has like a bit of little bit of sort of brown and tortoiseshell in it. So I got five, even though each one only needs 4. I just feel like a safety button is always worth getting, particularly when it's not just like a commercial button. And like, will I be able to get the exact same one again? So yes, so that's a, I don't know when I'll cast it on, like I only just finished this one, but I feel like I am loving this, and I do love a repeat knit. So particularly if I know I really like this one, so I can actually see myself casting this on pretty soon, particularly because it is winter here. So, and I have buttons now. So that's one acquisition, because I bought more buttons. I think that's it for acquisitions actually. Yes, that's it for acquisitions. Now plans. I was thinking about yarn for socks for my mum, and I found this one in stash because I thought it might be nice to make her some warm DK socks. So this is Black Wattle Yarn and Fibre Honeysuckle DK. So I was going to knit socks out of this, but it's really not sock yarn, right? This is so soft and it's really loosely plied. This is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. These would be amazingly luxurious socks, but when I looked on Ravelry to see if anyone had used it for socks before, only one person had, or actually maybe a couple of people had, but only one person sort of had with like detailed notes about it. And even with reinforcing, they had with an extra carry along thread of nylon or something, they still got holes in them very quickly. So I thought, okay, this is really not meant to be sock yarn, and I don't want to make socks for my mum that, get holes in them, within a few wearings. So I think this is going to be an Oslo hat. So there's 225 meters here. So so I was thinking I need another simple stockinette light, very easy round and round project on the needles. So I am going to wind this up and have that as my sort of portable, don't have to think, not too heavy, completely stockinette project. So that's going to be a hat, and I have to find some other yarn for socks for my mum, because when I finish that pair, I definitely want to have, I want to get a few socks in her wardrobe. So I can probably only deal with having one pair of socks on the needles. I've parked the ones that were for myself for now until I've made a few for my mum, but I'll do that in rotation. That would be really clever actually. I don't need more than one pair of socks on the needles. So I'll get, when I finish a pair, I'll start a new one for my mum. So, but I would like to have the yarn picked. Anyway, so that's going to be hat. It was going to be socks, not anymore, but I do need to find some yarn for socks for my mum. Other things, other plans. One other plan, because I'm on school holidays at the moment, I have a little bit more time to sort of think through things I want to make. I am going to start the Tropez sweater, which is going to be, and this is out of Bendigo Woolen Mills, cotton 4-ply. That's 100% cotton. That is a 200 gram ball. I think I have 2 of these, and I already did this swatch a while ago. And so I think it was Ursula. Yes, Ursula is going to make this, or maybe she probably already finished actually. She gifted me the pattern. She's going to make it, or has made it, and I want to make my own version. This is I've never made a crochet garment before. I've made whole blankets, king size blankets. So I can crochet. I know how to crochet. And as long as the pattern isn't too tricky, which this one has heaps of pictures, and it looks like mostly rectangles. So yeah, I'm excited. My first crochet garment. So that will kind of be like a nice summer sweater, I think. So even though I'm not going to wear it any time, but because I'm not familiar with crochet to the same degree, I can't just sort of start and not have to think. This will be paying attention. I definitely want to get this started in the school holidays. So that is an active plan that I'm committed to doing the school holidays. So that's in July. And that's it for acquisitions and plans. Moving on to what has caught my eye, I have 3 things to share: a hat, a skirt, and a top. So starting with a hat, when I was at Skein Sisters, not last weekend, the weekend before, I was teaching some classes, which was so much fun. I think, what did I do? It was fixing mistakes and fair isle, which is like, yeah, they're great classes. I really enjoy teaching those. But when I got to the shop, Jane was working, and Jane is Rose Red on Ravelry. She had this gorgeous hat on. It's called Buness by Mary Jane Mucklestone, and it's knit out of Jamison and Smith 2-ply jumper weight, I think, yes, 2-ply jumper weight, which is, you know, like a very light fingering weight yarn. It has 7 colours in it, so the base colour and 6 contrast colours, and Jane used the colours that Mary Jane designed, because why wouldn't you, right? Like, it's just, I think a big part of this design is the colours. So although I'm sure if you look on Ravelry, you can see lots of other options as well. But anyway, it was absolutely gorgeous. So I asked Jane if I could take a photo and put some up here of her wearing it. So thank you, Jane. Yes, and I was very inspired, as was everybody else in the class, seeing we were doing a fair isle class. So it was like, this is what you can make, you know, these gorgeous designs when you know how to knit fair isle, which is actually not that hard. The biggest thing is the tension. So, you know, which most people by the time they get to fair isle, because they think it's harder than it is, the tension's usually pretty good. So anyway, that was one class, and that was one thing that has caught my eye. So, and that's a 20 stitch gauge pattern. So that's the hat. The skirt, I'm sure everybody has probably seen the Seashore skirt by Veronika Lindberg. That is knit out of Knitting for Olive pure silk held double at a 21 stitch gauge, and my size would need 10 balls, so that's a fair bit of, but you're holding it double, but it's still a lot of yarn. So anyway, I have knit a number of skirts before. I have 2 summery skirts that I knit that I ended up not really wearing and giving away. So that does give me pause. I don't even have, like, because I gave them away, I don't even have them to show in my Friend from the Vault. So one of them was by Nora Gorn. I'll put a picture of it. I don't think I even have a picture of myself wearing it, which is a shame. Knit out of like a linen blend yarn, like a really nice navy. I think like it had a drawstring, and I think that was always kind of annoying me. Anyway, and then the other one was like a red one knit out of merlin, and I'll put a picture of that up there. And yeah, maybe it was the colour. I didn't really wear that one much, like a red skirt. I just wasn't sure. Like nowadays, I know I just wear like little sneakers and a tank with it, but at the time I just probably wasn't sure how to style it. How to wear it, but it hasn't. I've knit a number of winter skirts. I've knit the Carnaby skirt about 4 times, and I wear that all the time. Those all the time, but in winter with tights and boots and everything. So I've got no problem styling that. But a summery skirt, yeah. Now I'd be more like, yeah, I just wear like sort of nice sneakers and a tank. So yeah. Anyway, that one caught my eye, and that the holes in it is a little bit of a conundrum. The fact that you'd probably see your underwear, yeah, that kind of, you know, I don't know, what do? You just wear it over your swimmers? It's something to think about though, and I do have to think about that before I put the investment of time and money into it. And the top that caught my eye has a similar issue. This is the Ceres top by, I don't know if that's how you say it, Ceres, top by Sari Nordland, and that is in her new book Summer Knits, and that's knit out of Knitting for Olive pure silk, but held single at a 23 stitch gauge on 3mm needles. So, but it's got this gorgeous pattern, but right down the front of your, like the center of your breasts. So yeah, like I'm sort of thinking, how do I wear that? Like, what do I wear? You can totally see your bra underneath it. So it caught my eye, but will I make it? I probably can't see myself making it because of that issue, but it is beautiful. Anyway, and it's only available in that Summer Knits book by Sari at the moment. Eventually, I think it will get released on Ravelry individually. But anyway, that's what's caught my eye this week. Before I move on to my personal stuff, I'll just quickly mention what's coming up for me. So I did have the day wrong. It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday today. Tomorrow is Thursday, because that's how it usually goes. And I'm going to Bendigo tomorrow. So Bendigo is the location for the Sheep and Wool Show, which is held once a year. And I went 2 years ago with my friend Beck, and we're going again this year. So I'm flying to Melbourne and flying out tomorrow morning. And then Beck and I are meeting up, and she's flying down from Brisbane. And then we're catching a train out to Bendigo, and we're staying at an Airbnb for 3 nights. I'm so grateful. Beck has organised everything, I booked my own flights, but she's organised the accommodation, the train, organised like the times and everything. This isn't really something I'm so good at, but obviously I could do it, but she's like, I really appreciate her doing it. It's nice to have someone do that for you. So I'm super excited. So we're going to meet up in Melbourne, go down, and then we're there for the weekend. So I think we'll probably go to the Sheep and Wool Show on Friday and Saturday, and then we don't really have time to go Sunday because we've both got to fly back. So yeah, so excited. So I think we're going to record down there. We'll do a recording on Sunday morning before we leave, and then we'll get to share with you what we saw, what we did, who we saw, and also just a little bit about if we bought any acquisitions as well too. So that's upcoming for me. So so I will. That's kind of it for the knitting content. There'll be an episode pretty soon after this one with our Bendigo shenanigans, and then I'll get back onto a regular recording. So if you're leaving me now, thanks so much for being here, and I'll just move on to my personal stuff now very quickly. So it's been a pretty busy last 10 days. I did a holiday program at my school. We did like a year 12 sort of study revision week, which was massive. It was a lot of fun, really great. Kids, fully engaged. I was sitting in on the Extension 2 lectures, teaching the Extension 1, helping out kids when they had questions. It was fantastic. But it was sort of 7 to 8 hours every day. I think the first day I was there for 9.5 hours. And I just came home almost kind of catatonic. I found myself scrolling on Instagram, and I'm not a scroller, but I was just I was just totally zombie by the end of the day, each day. So it was fantastic, but very depleting. So nourishing and enriching, but also taxing and tiring too. So anyway, it was a great week. But I just had a very restful weekend, which was wonderful. Caught up with a friend and knitting, and as you saw, I've had a bit of knitting time. And the rest of, I'm going to Bendigo the rest of this week, and then I've got one more week of holidays where I plan to do so many things, way more than I could actually achieve. And I also have to do a little bit of work. I have to finish writing the trial. So a bit of work, definitely weaving, mending, knitting, casting on new things, casting on my crochet garment. So many good things. I'm so excited I love holidays. I love my job too. I love that week was the first week of holidays was actually work. Oh, that's my husband. Time to go. Yes. Anyway, I've been continuing to watch F1 on Netflix. Nearly finished that season and still watching Great British Sewing Bee. All really good stuff. So anyway, I'll be back in a few days anyway with Beck. So it will be a 2-for-1 next episode. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you in a few days.